Yes, people, it's Monday night, it's 10 o'clock, it's grounded football, it's Liverpool grounded football, and what a show we've got tonight. I would apologise in advance. We've got absolutely no intention of being grounded tonight. You don't go to Old Trafford and win 5-0 very, very often, so bear with us while we rejoice in that fact. And to do it, I couldn't think of a better guest. I've got the singing Irishman, Dave's LFC Chats. Evening, Dave.
Mo Salah, running down the wings. Salah. 5, baby, 5. That's all I can say.
Doug, but you can't follow that, can you?
Mute.
Can't hear you.
Mute.
That's because my bloody mic was up there. Sorry.
Ole must have invented that bloody microphone.
I would say complete humiliation, to be honest.
Unreal. Look at Rack's face. Rack cannot stop smiling. Look at Rack's face.
Honestly, I've just been since the game. I've just been going on YouTube video after YouTube video, Twitter space after Twitter space, just like soaking up all the utter chaos that's erupting in the Man United fan base. It's been brilliant.
All right, proper had a meltdown, haven't they? They've really had a meltdown, and they're all over Twitter tonight saying he's gone. Listen, we were signing Mbappe last summer. Don't believe anything that's on Twitter. Ollie's staying until the end of the season, mate. I'm telling you. So I'll start with you, Dave. We didn't speak to you before the game, so we'll get a little bit of insight from you. I was pretty confident, and then as the game got closer, looking at their front three, the damage that they potentially could have done, because let's be honest, they are talented footballers, I wasn't so confident. I bet you were. Tell us how you were feeling before the game.
Do you know what? Obviously done a few podcasts before the game, and right up I did a starting 11 show about an hour before the game. There was one or two little worries for me with Fabinho being out, Matip being out, Mane being out on the bench. I mean, I can't say I was a little worried, but I always thought we'd win the game. I actually thought it'd be tighter. I thought it'd be something like 2-1, something like that, a nail biter, as Paul Scholes would say. But at the end of the day, the main thing for us it's just mentality. And how can you doubt Klopp? How can you doubt this team at the end of the day, guys? I mean, United are all over the bloody shop. They really are all over the shop. But I have to say, I was a little worried because we don't have a great record there. Historically, go back into the 80s, not even the 80s, when we were brilliant. We weren't great there. They've always been a bit of a hoodoo. And when they were under Ferguson and those 90s and 90s times where they were brilliant, we just didn't get even a goal there. Never mind a bloody win. So, going into a bit of trepidation, a bit nervous. I'm nervous before any United game, even when we played them at Anfield, because the backlash is just so big. The backlash is going to come at you. The banter's going to come at you. So I was always nervous, but I was quietly confident that we would get the win, and it turned out that way.
Yeah, Rax, Valve says, shout out to the Man United fan that managed to get Firmino shirt after the game. That might well have been a Liverpool fan in the United end. I mean, that would be the ultimate ignominy, wouldn't it, to ask for Roberto Firmino's shirt and just been battered 5-1 at home by your arch rivals. Doug, coming to you, we obviously spoke about this last week. We were all a bit more guarded, all a bit more, but it is a game against Manchester United and we struggle with. Going into the game, especially after seeing the team, what were your thoughts?
I felt quietly confident, actually. I think it was a big call to bring Konate in for Matip, because I think Matip's been very, very good. Fabinho was the worry for me as well. Obviously, we had Hendo, Keita and Milner in that midfield. And it is a hard-working midfield. And then, obviously, Jota in for Mane as well. But I just looked at that team, and I remember Jota played last season. We won. I was very, very confident to win. I think I went 3-1. So I was a little bit more confident than Dave. I thought we would have too much of them, and my goodness me, what an absolutely battering we absolutely gave them as well.
I'd been saying on Friday and Saturday when everyone was doing multitude of pods, just pod requests coming out your ears, wasn't there? If Liverpool bring the quality, then they'll win the game. I always felt we had the quality to win the game. And as Dave alluded to before, over the years, so many false dawns. when we were flying in the 80s, that Brian Robson would always turn up and pinch a winner at some point during the game, and then when they were brilliant in their spell, because football goes in cycles and all that good stuff, we would go there and batter them 4-1 at home and stuff like that. And so it's crazy. Form kind of goes out the window, but Rack, looking at Manchester United as a team this year, looking at Paul Scholes' comments after the European fixture in midweek, all those chickens come home to roost, didn't they? Absolutely, 100%. The start of the game, how were you feeling going into the start of the game? First 5 minutes, we started quite brightly, didn't we? And obviously we got the early goal. So what were your thoughts when the early goal went in? Could you see us going on from there, or did you think we'd get a response?
First of all, I want to compliment Doug on his choice of attire. It was, wearing that top yesterday. It was a good choice, mate. Because obviously they had that early opportunity, didn't they, with Fernandes, who was one-on-one with Ali, and I was like, I said before the game started, the preview, that I thought United would come out with something to prove in the first few minutes, and it'd probably be a case of perhaps weathering a storm for the first 20 minutes. And they had that chance, and I was like, okay, all right, this is kind of going along with what I thought. Obviously, he skied it, and then we just sliced through them with that first goal. And I was like, that was too easy. That was too easy. And this even though it's a very, very small period of time, I thought this is looking more like the teams that have given United a real problem over the last 2 or 3 weeks, as opposed to a case where we're going to have to batten down the hatches for the first 20 minutes and then come out and play. We were able to play almost from the get-go, and I was like, if this is going to become a football match, there's only going to be one winner. Still, you're always a little bit cautious because anything can happen. You could score an own goal, for a set piece or whatever. But we control the game from the start, and that's what I said we had to do. And actually, they didn't really have that much after that. So yeah, it was. I felt more and more comfortable as the first 15, 20 minutes passed, and after that, I could only see us winning.
So Dave, just coming to you. Mac mentions the team, and obviously the change in the central defence where we put Matip on the bench. So obviously his fitness is well known to us and to all Liverpool fans. Were you surprised by Konate? And it's not wrong now to ask you what you thought of his performance, because that's a massive game to make only your second Premiership appearance, isn't it? So Dave, your thoughts on Konate, please.
I was pleasantly surprised by Konate. I mean, we brought him in at the tail end of last year. It was the only big signing we brought in the summer, 36 million, something like that, from RB Leipzig. I mean, we all know he's one of the most highly sought young. He's only 21, guys. See this side? This guy's a mountain, a man mountain. 21, 6'4". I mean, he's basically a bouncer at the weekends at a nightclub, a top nightclub. This guy, you ain't getting by this guy. And I mean, it was like that. He was like that on Sunday to United's front line, saying, you ain't getting past here. You haven't got the ID. You ain't getting in. So for me, I was surprised. Of course I was. I thought Matip VVD all day long, but we know Matip's injuries, as you just said. We know Van Dijk coming back from a huge injury. So there's going to be that interplay. That's going to happen. It's going to happen more. But the only good thing for us is we've got the players to come in. The likes of Gomez as well there, even Phillips. But Konate was brilliant. I thought Konate was absolutely brilliant. He made one or two small little mistakes, but listen, huge game at Old Trafford. As I say, historically, we don't do well. If he makes a mistake in that game that we lose, it haunts you for the whole bloody season, and it haunts him. So it was a huge confidence boost on his behalf for Klopp to tap him on the shoulder probably on the Saturday at training at Kirby and say, listen, you're starting, baby, with Van Dijk for the big game, and I put my trust in you to start. That's what Klopp does. He's a real man manager, as we know. He's Shankly DNA. I've said it before. He is a personification of Shankly for me, because he's got the same DNA, a man manager. The hug, the Klopp hug, the kiss on the cheek. You're starting with Van Dijk the weekend. What a plus. The confidence must be flowing through his bloody veins. But he didn't put a foot wrong, and I'm absolutely pleasantly surprised with Konate, and he was absolutely brilliant.
You're right, he's a man mountain and he's quick. I think, is it fair to say, Rack, that he was putting there for the extra pace because we expected Manchester United's game plan to be down his side of the defence? Do you think that was because it was going to be a tough game for Matip, because twisting and turning all the way through the game, wasn't it? So he didn't come to pass that way, but do you think that was the thinking that was in his selection?
You know what? I honestly, that's what most of the commentators were saying. I was just in general very surprised, and I wasn't expecting that kind of change at all. So I was a bit surprised to say the least. Um, he adapted really well, but obviously to bring a young player in for such a big game, I think he'd only played maybe one other Premier League game prior to that.
Crystal Palace at home.
Yeah, and in which he did okay. But yeah, it's a huge game to bring him in for. But generally speaking, he was flawless. Now, again, partly that was maybe down to Man United not really putting him under that much pressure, but the stuff that he did have to deal with, he dealt with pretty competently. So it kind of worked out. But yeah, huge respect to him to come in such a big game, and yeah, it proved all my wariness kind of unfounded.
So, Doug, obviously, we talked about the defence and three usual suspects, and then the addition of Konate, who, for such a young man, he's got some bottle, hasn't he, to go in there and play like that. You know, 20 years old, if you'd said to me, I was playing football at 20 years old, but certainly not at that level, you're going to go and play a game of that magnitude, I'd have been done, mate. I'd have been sat in the toilet all morning, man, and never made it to the game, you know. He's got some bottle. So into the midfield, obviously Fabinho didn't make it, which absolutely was a bolt from the blue and a shock. We talked a little bit about Henderson on recent pods in terms of looking for a bit of form, a little bit of fitness. Do you think playing in the six helped Henderson because it made him focus on the job in hand?
I thought he was outstanding. I thought he was absolutely outstanding at the weekend, and someone made a joke about you shouldn't be getting dominated by a midfield that has Jordan Henderson and James Milner in it against the Manchester United midfield. But to be fair, I thought it was a very, very good midfield, and I thought all three of the midfielders actually played really, really well as well. Obviously Henderson for the fifth goal was that. I mean that pass was Gerrard-esque. I think I've said it in a couple of things this week that pass was just reminding me of the Gerrard pass to Sturridge when he scored that goal at Fulham. So it was a cracking pass. I thought Jones had a good game when he came on, and I'm so gutted for Naby because I think that was probably one of his best games in a Liverpool shirt. He was absolutely outstanding. And yeah, Rams, that red card for Pogba is just ridiculous. I mean, the way he goes into the tackle, it's 100% a red card, and I'm happy to say that not many people have actually complained about that on social media, because I think if you look at, I think Granit Xhaka got something similar sent off against Man City for a tackle, I think, on Rodri as well. So it's nice to see that challenge is getting stamped out of the game, because you don't want to see it two-footed over the ball. Hopefully Naby's okay. But it just kind of ruined what was a very good performance from Naby.
100%. Going back to the Naby thing, the guy's in great form at the moment. You know, it's almost seems bizarre to say at this stage in his career he's playing for a new contract, but that's the reality. It actually is playing for a new deal. And we've been all desperate for him to spark, because he's been with us now. He's in his third season, and we've not really seen too much from him. Fleeting glimpses here and there without really setting the world alight. But this season's been a bit different. The Pogba challenge was appalling. I don't know if you guys remember, he did something very similar against Wolves on Neves, right on the edge of the box. Mm-hmm. He's got to stop going over the top of the ball. Has anybody heard any news on that at all? Are we waiting for swelling to go down before we assess? Do we know what the club's position on Naby's injury is?
Yeah, I heard something today, actually, that Pep Linders is doing the chat tomorrow before the Preston game, and they'll have some news on it tomorrow at the press conference when Pep Linders does it. Probably lunchtime, I think it is. The news coming out of the club I heard today was it's not as, it could have been a late break, guys. It could have been a season ender. No more PlayStation for Naby. It could have been really bad. So he's lucky. He got away with one there. I'm not saying he got away with it. I mean, Pogba, it was a terrible challenge, but he got away with it there, because if you look at the challenge again, his foot goes but doesn't stay. He goes with the challenge. I'm hoping what I'm hearing, it's only a 2 or 3 game type thing, you know, a 2-week, 3-week thing. But let's hope that's all it is. But
yeah, I think post-game Klopp said something like, it looks okay, but they're going to have to wait till the tool swelling goes down, which is, I guess, standard line. But I think his words were kind of more on the positive side. So that is a relief, because, I mean, we're getting a little bit thin with midfielders, because with Millie out now with a hamstring. So luckily Curtis is back, and hopefully Thiago's not going to be back, not going to be too much longer. But still, I don't think he's joined full team training just yet. So
Rams is right. If his foot had been planted, we would be looking at a leg break. Like Dave says, he saw the challenge coming and he tried to elevate himself to ride it. And if he's going to try to block challenge on that ball, he bottled it. He bottled the challenge basically, and it's just as well that he did. Otherwise, he would have a broken leg. No. Sorry, Doug. I think I interrupted you then, didn't I?
Oh no! I was just going to say that Pogba, actually, when you look at him being brought on, he looked disinterested. His focus wasn't there, and he got dispossessed for obviously the fifth goal. But you see the red card, he completely knows he's going to be sent off because yellow card shown, and then all of a sudden, Anthony Taylor goes over to the monitor, and once you do that, you're gonna get a red card. But the smugness of him to smile going off the pitch. If I'm a Manchester United fan, I would be wanting Paul Pogba out of this club by tonight.
Really?
Yeah.
That's quite a damning verdict on him, but it was appalling. And when he was coming off the pitch, he did look like he actually was trying not to laugh, which I found really difficult to watch. To be fair, if anybody's played football at any standard, when you see an injury like that on the pitch, the last thing you do is walk off the pitch, sort of with an ironic look on your face, like you're gonna.
He has moments where he can do a bit of brilliance, and then he has a moment of madness. But to be fair, against Liverpool, he hasn't really had a good game against Liverpool. So obviously his bad run against Liverpool continues. But I can't defend that tackle at all. And you have to say that, Pogba hasn't really shown much in a Manchester United shirt. He's maybe shown glimpses of it, but seeing a France shirt, he's probably like the poster boy of France. In that midfield, so good with Kante. He needs a Kante player. I don't think he can play beside a Fred or a McTominay because he's definitely getting found out. And he's actually spoken out of turn quite recently, and he's been dropped for it as well. I think De Gea's spoken out of turn as well, and I think Ronaldo did as well. By the way, Ronaldo was lucky to be on the pitch.
Yeah, I think that's very cool too.
Do you think so?
Yeah, I do. I think Jones, if Jones makes more of a deal of that, Ronaldo's off. Jones didn't even make a deal of it. He just got up straight away. If he starts rolling around like a Spanish player, he's off, I think. Yeah,
the thing is, he's not trying to win the ball and free the ball so he can play. He's kicking that ball with the intention of causing harm to Jones. He knows exactly, because the ball has nowhere to go. I just remember, I think it was the World Cup, I think it was Brazil against Turkey. And I remember Rivaldo, I think the Turkey player was going to take the corner, and Rivaldo blasted the ball at him and got sent off. Obviously, that's a few years ago. I don't know if the rules have changed, but the intention there is to harm another player. There's also been other occasions where people just stand in front of a free kick and the ball gets blasted. So I don't know if that's, maybe things have changed since then, but the guy's lying down and you're kicking a ball that's a fraction of a centimetre in front of him onto his body. It's not going to cause massive damage probably, but it's definitely something worth consideration. I don't know what the correct one, but it seemed harsh to me.
So before the game, I got a little you do get a little tip off. You get a message in your inbox in your DM, and it says, "Oh, guess what, mate? These three players are not starting." And when he said Jota was playing, I'm thinking Bobby Firmino isn't going to play. I didn't think that it would be Mane, because Mane's been in good form. So Doug, talk us through your thoughts on the front three selection ahead of the game.
I was happy with it. I think Jota deserves a chance, and I actually think now we've seen Jota in his best preferred position. For me, he's not a number 9. I think that's a Firmino definitely kind of player. And I think once Salah and Mane and Keita all go to the African Cup of Nations, I think the front three you will see Jota, Firmino, and then Minamino, Origi or something like that. But I thought Jota was excellent yesterday, and I think he's getting in the right positions. He had a couple of chances as well. Obviously, he got the goal, very well deserved as well. I think there was another one where Firmino hit wide, but he's getting in the right positions as well. And he made an assist for Mohamed Salah as well. So I was very, very impressed with Jota, and I think he's getting better with each game.
Yeah. Just to finish on that, United should have had 5 red cards. Wow, That would have been mad, wouldn't it? What would that became abandoned in a 3-0 win, FIFA style, that wouldn't it? If that happened, So it was they lost their shape, they lost their discipline, they lost their composure. But do you know what? When you're being humiliated in front of 70,000 of your own fans, I would imagine that's quite easy to do. It's not an excuse, but they were all over the shop, like Dave said before we came on air. So Dave, don't mention Bobby Firmino, and we all love Bobby, and he's come into form in the last couple of weeks. Didn't score goals at Manchester United the weekend. But what did you make of his performance?
I thought he was brilliant. I really do. I thought he was absolutely brilliant. Back to his best without getting a goal. I think he should have scored. He probably had 2 great chances. Should have scored at least one, but he didn't. But his hold-up play was brilliant. His little Brazilian flicks were coming off. Some of them were coming off. One of them came off brilliant for one of the goals. But his overall play, his intelligence, he was holding the ball up brilliantly, laying it off. He was a pivotal point there, as Doug was saying, number 9. That's his perfect position for me, for him, and your Jota and Salah either side. I mean, that's wow. But it was great to see Bobby back smiling again, showing his white teeth, and that's what we all like to see: a smiling Bobby Firmino on the pitch. And a goal would have been nice, but I mean, it's more than goals for me, for Bobby. It's seen him contributing, it's seen him linking up the play, being positive. Everything was positive about him. He looked back to his best, to be fair, and I think it's looking really positive for Liverpool going forward, because the front four, look on fire. If we can keep those front four fit, wow, is all I can say.
I think that hat-trick has done him a lot of good, though. You'd have to say that hat-trick at Watford has done him a lot of good, and I think it's only going to get him better as the season goes on.
I mean, we've talked about this before, particularly Rack shares this opinion, Dave, that Bobby Firmino is really pivotal to Liverpool, because when we don't have the ball, he occupies the central defensive midfielders. Now, I don't know if you've seen some of the Manchester United fans sending freeze frames around at the moment with circles around McTominay and Fred. They weren't there for him to get in the way of. They went missing in action, didn't they? So I think, but Bobby, I think you're absolutely right, Dave. I think Bobby's right back in form. He's really pivotal to what we do. So Rack, talk us through the second goal, mate. Your thoughts on the movement for that?
Second goal was, which one was that? I can't even remember. When you scored so many goals, you forget which one.
It was when Maguire.
Yeah.
It was when Maguire and Shaw got into a complete mix-up.
Yeah, and then
Naby
played across to Trent.
Before you do that, guys, what is Harry Maguire? Because he's not a professional footballer, is he? He really isn't.
I can tell you something about Harry Maguire. He is a big fridge, and he was defrosted yesterday, baby.
Go on, Rack. Finish off with this summary on the goal, please.
I don't remember the specific build-up, but I remember it coming across, Keita playing across to Trent, and Trent playing the ball across, obviously, to Jota. One of the things I've noticed about Jota is that he's playing on that left wing. That I think he's obviously much more direct than Mane. Mane doesn't mind kind of beating a player and then re-beating him, whereas Jota is a lot more direct. And I found his movement interesting, because he could have very easily strayed offside there, because it's a huge game. You're bearing down on goal. There was only a fraction in it, but he kind of held his run and bent his run a little bit, which I thought was really smart in such a pressure situation. And I mean, at that point, it gives us 2 goals, and then you got to think, okay, whatever happens, we're not going to lose it from here. It'll be a disaster for us to even draw, especially with the way we've been playing. It only been a short time, but you could see that United weren't up for it in the same way that we were, and you could tell that the chances were going to come. I think we had a chance just before that as well. So yeah, at that point, I was just like, I wasn't quite in dreamland, because that came a little bit later, but it was, the writing was on the wall, and I just went a bit mental. I was watching the game, going absolutely crazy. So yeah, it was really important, that second goal, because I think it meant that it gave us that safety net.
So whilst we're with you, and whilst we're on the subject of Jota, I'll ask you to score him out of 10 for his performance and summarise, other than the goal, what you thought of him on the day.
You know what? I haven't watched the game back yet. I'm probably one of the few people who hasn't, and so I'd like to kind of revise it, but and revise my opinion potentially. But I don't. He did. Thought he was good without being exceptionally eye catching. I think his movement was good. I think for Salah's first goal second goal, sorry, where he swept it in. There was a nice little turn that I think Bobby took it first, and then he played it on. That was important. So he was involved without being the kind of eye-catching influence that Mo was, for example, or even that Bobby was. But that's Jota all over. He's quietly efficient, and was that his fourth or fifth goal of the season?
I think it was his fourth, wasn't it? But
Yeah.
He's played in fits and starts. I would agree with you. I thought what he did well. He knitted play quite well down that left-hand side without being spectacular. What he is good at is turning inside because he's got quite good balance. And then once you turn inside against Aaron Wan-Bissaka and you've got no defensive midfield, it just opens up. It must be like looking at just total freedom because the ball inside was on every single time, wasn't it?
We must now have 4 players in the top 10 goal scorers in the Premier League.
Yeah.
In terms of, so that's obviously bodes well moving forward as well.
They must have 20 plus goals between the four of them this season already. And, we've seen this before, haven't we, boys, where Liverpool, where Salah will get the most goals, obviously. Mane will chip in with circa 20. Bobby will give us 15. And if Jota gives us 15 to 20, we're going to be there with a hand in the prizes out at the end of the season because goals win you games, don't they? To sound really, really crap and cliched, but it's very true. They do. So, it's really nice to see them playing that way. Coming to you, Doug. What did you make of James Milner's performance? And the reason why I ask is, I think James Milner's been an absolute asset to the football club. I love him to bits, and I've said many, many times, he doesn't need the money. I hope the love of football means he stays with the football club and starts his coaching with Liverpool, or he goes and plays somewhere else for 12 months and then comes back as a coach. I'd like to see that. We've talked many times, you and I have, and with Rack as well, about when Liverpool play on the stretch and James Milner's age is an issue. What did you think of his performance ahead of the injury? And was the injury typical of that playing on the stretch problem that we've seen?
I think the injury, just to begin with the injury, I think it's probably been because he's played probably more than he would have thought he would have played. I think. I think it was like 4 games in a row now he started, I think, because obviously he started Watford, he started Atletico, started United as well. I think he was good. He was cool, composed and calm on the ball yesterday, and I think he was trying to make things as well. But yeah, I just think that injury, I hope it's not too serious because he is ever so reliable, and he hardly gets injured as well. Does James Milner? But I'm with you. I think we'll probably see him be a coach very, very soon. But I don't know if he'll stay beyond this season. I would like him to stay beyond this season because I think he's a very, very good squad player. But he probably won't be playing as much as he has done this season.
But he'll be 36 by the end of the season. Ronnie Dave, is that really a time when he should be looking at it and thinking, actually, he's had a bit of a swan song this season. He's played more than perhaps we'd like, and Thiago's injury certainly contributed to that. Do you think Doug's got a point that this could be the season when he sits down and looks at his career and says, I'm in great shape. I've not picked up any really serious injuries. I've enjoyed the rest of my life relatively injury-free, because you hear the horror stories of the footballers that we watched in the 80s having injections to play, and it ruins their lives in the later years. Do you think Milner will stay? Do you think he's got that love for the club in him to stay?
Yeah, he does. But the thing for me, Milner, the big thing for Milner is, for me, I thought he would have went last year. I think, he's like a fine wine. He's just getting better and better and better. And as Doug said, he can't be playing 3, 4, 5 games in a row. That's that injury. What happened, that injury, I think it's over. Too much game time, I think, caused that injury, to be fair, lads. I'm sure Klopp wouldn't have wanted to throw him in, but we'd issues with Thiago not there. Jones probably had a little knock. I know he came on second half, but on the first half, sorry, for Milner. But will he stay? I think he's gone this season. I think he'll be gone the end of the season. I think he'll go. I know he loves Leeds and want to get a season with Leeds, but I don't know. I think he'll retire and get a coaching job at Liverpool. I think that would be what he will do. Because he's been absolutely unbelievable for Liverpool. I mean, unreal. I mean, this guy has cost us, saved us millions in the transfer market because he just has got better and better and better. Yeah. And I have nothing bad to say about him. And he just gives us 100% on the pitch. He's a model professional on and off the pitch. Does a lot of charity work as well. He looks after himself. As Doug said, he's never really injured. It was just literally too much game time caused that injury for him. He overstretched or whatever he did. Yeah. And he wasn't expected to play. But, I mean, he's an absolute model pro and all the best for Milner. I hope he stays longer, but I'm just thinking maybe this could be his last season. I could be wrong. It'd be
nice to see him get the same sort of recognition, him and Henderson, for the way that Curtis Jones has come on, in the same way that Gary McAllister did for Steven Gerrard, because these are model pros that do it properly in the sort of final years of their, not so much Henderson, but certainly Milner in the final years of their career. I think you're right. The model pro is the key thing, isn't it? The role model that Curtis Jones is watching, because Curtis Jones is a young lad. He can have his head turned by the lights and the glamour and all that stuff of being a pro footballer. But these guys seem to be getting a grip of him, so that's really pleasing. Who wants to talk about the third goal? Go on, Doug, I'll let you do it.
Well, it was very, very good build-up, and again, very, very shocking defending. But I love the way we actually passed the ball yesterday. Like Salah to Firmino to Jota. Obviously, Firmino, I think Salah hits a shot, it's deflected, go there to Keita. And, once Mo Salah is in that position, you always expect him to score. And it was great play as well from Naby Keita, who, again, I think he had his best game in the Liverpool shirt yesterday. I think he was really, really good. And it's just very unfortunate he's got that injury. But Mo Salah, I think that's 10 consecutive games now he's scored for Liverpool. It's absolutely just incredible. And the numbers that Salah is putting week in, week out, I mean, he is actually on course to beat his, if he keeps fit, if he keeps firing, he could potentially have 15 to 20 goals before he goes away to the African Cup of Nations. I think 32 is his record. He's on course to beat that, and I think he might beat that.
Yeah, he might well do. I think it's bizarre, isn't it? They're defending for that goal. Again, Shaw and Maguire can reach out and touch each other, can't they?
United's defense is like a waterproof teabag. I heard McGoldbridge saying it. I thought that was brilliant. A waterproof teabag. That is literally, they're useless. They're absolutely useless.
He comes out with some gems, he does, doesn't he, Goldbridge?
He does, yeah.
That guy's a genius. Flipping 1.8 million subscribers on 2 YouTube channels. Well, there you go. That's the dream, isn't it? Guy never have to work again, will he? With the numbers he's getting off that. So just before half time, 3 becomes 4. Dave, do you want to walk us through your thoughts as we score the 4th just before half time?
Do you know what? That was an unbelievable finish from Mo. That was the first time. I think someone called it a dagger or something. That was literally like a dagger that United's heart. 4-0. I mean, even 3-0 going in halftime, you're like, oh my God, this is dreamland. But when it goes in 4, literally seconds before halftime, it's Area 51, dreamland. I mean, I'm just like this. This is just can't get any better. This is ridiculous. I mean, I think most fans left at halftime. I think you see the stream at halftime, them walking out. That 4th goal goes in. But it was a great move. And I'm just trying to think now, who gave the ball out? There was a bit of a mix-up. And then the ball just comes out. I'm trying to remember now with the bloody mix-up. Who gave the ball? Was it Keita? I'm trying to remember who gave the ball to Salah.
Who gave the ball to Salah? I think it was Jota, I think.
Oh,
Jota.
Was it Jota? Mm-hmm. Yeah. I thought
the ball came into Firmino. Firmino kind of chest and turned, but it didn't quite go right. And then it went back to was it Curtis or Millie? I can't remember. And then it went to Jota, and then Jota played it across the goal, and then Mo stroked it in first time.
But the finish first time. I mean, that shows you Mo Salah on form. I mean, if last season or whatever, when he was going through a little bit of a spell, he's taking a touch there. He's taking a touch. He's not hitting the first time. That shows you the king of Egypt is on fire in his mind. Everything is fluid for him now. He doesn't even have to think. Eyes closed. He'd be wearing a blindfold and he's going to score that into the corner against a really good goalkeeper, De Gea, remember, who was in great form. And he let in 5. You know what I mean? He let in 5 against Liverpool. So that's another thing. And all our finishes were top notch. But that finish, that 4th goal, well, it's my second best goal, to be honest, because I have a better one. But the 4th one was beautiful. What a finish from Mo Salah.
I couldn't believe it went in. You actually had to have another look. Has that gone in? Because the way he took it, it was really nonchalant, wasn't it? It just came across. He just kind of like poked it in the corner, really stroked it down with like consummate ease. He didn't even look like he shaped his body or anything. He just took it so early. And, you know, you watch Solskjaer walk off the pitch past the fans who are booing him and giving him hell. You know, 4-0 at half-time is beyond your wildest dreams, isn't it? You're thinking, second half, let's come out and absolutely terror these guys. Let's put 6 or 7 on them. But apparently, because of the way the game was going, they were instructed just to take the sting out of the game, weren't they, and conserve a bit of energy. But in doing that, I mean, sort of before we'll talk about the final goal, which came in the 53rd minute. So whatever game plan Manchester United came out with was soon put to bed by that. Rack, do you want to walk us through the final goal of the game, mate?
Yeah, I've given Hendo a bit of stick recently because I think his levels haven't been up to the same that we normally expect, and I was a little bit concerned that this may be a progression of maybe further decline, but actually, I mean, this game he was right back up to the right level, and that ball. I mean, lots of people have made comparisons to the Gerrard ball where he plays it with the outside of his foot onto, I can't remember, who was it to? Sturridge, yeah.
He
a typical Sturridge finish.
He actually did it. If you go back even further, a few of them to Torres, a few balls to Torres outside. Torres ran onto him, rounded the keeper. So he's done it a few times, Gerrard. But Henderson was watching Gerrard there big time.
Well, there's a clip that shows both, and you can see Henderson is right next to Gerrard when he plays one of those balls. So it was a Gerrard-esque ball right into Mo's path, and first touch was good. Second touch, he overruns it slightly, but in a way that kind of works for him because then he stretches and he just dinks the ball over the keeper. And I've said it a few times actually that 17-18 Salah where he scored 43 goals in all comps. Towards the middle to end of the season, he was doing a lot more of those finishes. He was in he was in that much had that much confidence. He was untouchable, and you saw it against Roma, the little dink over Alisson when Alisson comes rushing out, and he just nonchalantly lifts it over him. That's when I think we see real prime Salah, and the fact that we're now seeing real prime Salah in October, and he has that much confidence to do that now, means I think his goal conversion rate is going to go through the roof, and I think all records are potentially on the table in terms of the Premier League now because he's got 10 in 9. So I don't expect him to keep up this level immediately, just because it's unprecedented. But I think his own scoring record is in danger.
So let's as a group have a bit of a chat about Mo Salah. There's lots of conversations going on the moment about comparables with Eden Hazard. Now, I've said recently on the pod, Eden Hazard will be remembered as one of the best dribblers in the Premier League, and I think we can agree that he was tremendous carrying the football. Mo Salah will be remembered as one of the best goal scorers that the Premier League's ever had. They're not the same player, so we shouldn't be comparing them. What I want to do is put it out there to you guys and ask you, in terms of Liverpool history, Salah's knocking on some very big doors in terms of reputation and how we should be viewing him in terms of the history of our football club. Who is he competing with right now in terms of on a level with, and who should we be recognising him to be as good as? And I'll tell you why, because Ryan's come with this, and he said this a couple of times. Salah is amazing form this season, but the Salah this season doesn't come close to Suarez in 13-14. Now, that's a really interesting comment, because in 13-14, I thought Suarez was the best player in the world. He was untouchable. But Mo's been doing this now for 4 years. So I want to kind of look at that, and lots of people who go on the terrace cry out about longevity.
Yeah.
Longevity is bollocks. If you're good enough, you're good enough. Whether it's 1 season, 4 seasons, or 10 seasons. So I would kind of want to get your thoughts, guys, on who's he competing with in our history. Where is he at?
I think he's right up there. I mean, we luckily Liverpool have had some of the best strikers and attacking players ever in the history of football itself. Let's be real here. Like, we can go through them: Kenny Dalglish, Rush. I mean, John Barnes. You can go even way back. Ian St. John. I mean, you know, Roger Hunt, rest in peace, of course, and Ian St. John just recently. I mean, I've seen a few of them in action, but Suarez had plenty of bite, let's say that. He was an absolutely fantastic player. This guy, he was a genius. He was more of a Willy Wonka type genius. In other words, erratic. You didn't know what the hell he was going to do. Whereas for me, Salah is just, he's not even a forward. He's a winger, really. You know what I mean? So he just gives you something different. And I think longevity, as in going 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 seasons, does actually count, because it shows you can stay at that level for that amount of years. I mean, Messi and Ronaldo have done it. Let's be real. They've done it for 10, 15 years. They've done crazy numbers. They're interplanetary. They're intergalactic at this stage. But I think Salah's in orbit, baby. Salah is in orbit, and he is ready to rock. I mean, he's going intergalactic at this stage. His numbers are 17, 18 season for me. I think it was 44, actually. I think he got that season, which is just ridiculous. 32 league goals. That's the record in the Premier League. So I think he's definitely on track to get close, or if not, beat that. Touch wood, no injuries and stuff like that. But for me, you have to be talking with him right
I'll
up
throw
there.
some names at you now, guys. You tell me who's better. It's Mo or this person. So is Mo Salah better than Michael Owen was for Liverpool?
Yeah, now he is.
Yeah,
Yes.
he is now. But Michael Owen was very good now. I know Michael Owen gets stick because he went to United.
Yeah, he gets a lot of shit, but Owen
He had
was
a lot.
great.
He had big numbers when he was at Liverpool. He huge numbers.
Yeah.
Is Mo Salah better than John Aldridge was when he was at Liverpool?
Yeah.
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 I mean, see some of these players. It would be wrong of me to, because back then you didn't have as much access to football. You didn't, being in London, I couldn't go to the game. I was, very, very young at the time, so I didn't always watch some of these older players play as much. But I mean, just looking at the numbers, and although that's not always accurate, there's I think most clear of John Aldridge as well.
So now it gets serious. Now we're talking some proper bods. Is Mo Salah better than peak Fernando Torres? That's a difficult one for me.
No, I think so. I think he is.
Really?
I love Torres. I mean, I remember the day I was in town, actually, in a bar when we signed him that day. It was lunchtime, actually. What am I doing in a bar at lunchtime? But anyway.
We know exactly what you were doing, Dave.
But no, he is. I think he is. I think, well, I'm hoping he signs the contract, and I believe he will till 2026. That's the deal, hopefully. But, I mean, this guy's going to break every bloody record that there is. I certainly think he's better than Torres and Suarez, to be fair. I really do. I think he's up there.
Well, that was my next one. Suarez. Is he better than Suarez?
Yeah.
I think people forget about Suarez. In that season, he didn't actually return until the 27th of September against Sunderland.
Yeah, he missed the first 5 games of the season.
Yeah.
Or first 4. I think he came back for the 5th. Look, Torres, prime Torres was the best striker in the world. And this is why I like to differentiate between best and greatest. I mean, I think Mo is definitely greater than him because he's been at the club longer, or at least he's been at top level longer, because Suarez towards the end was a shadow of his former self. I would also say that because of everything that Mo's done, he's now better as well. But yeah, it's close. And in terms of Suarez, I think Suarez is a better player. But I don't think he's greater than Mo, because Mo has played with us for longer. He's played at a high level. I think Suarez, he went on to play at Barcelona equally high, if not higher level. So I think if you ask me who I think the better player was across their career, I would still say Suarez. But for us, I'll go with Mo.
Yeah. When you look at Mo Salah, sorry, Steve, you ask anybody in the world, all over the world, Asia, Africa, America, anywhere, Antarctica, you can go anywhere you want. what player can you name off Liverpool? It's going to be Mo Salah. They're going to mention his name because
He's huge.
He's the one true icon we have at the club now. You could say Steven Gerrard a few years ago, but you have to go really far back before you start talking, like Kenny Dalglish, before you start talking about iconic players. I think Mo Salah, that's the level he's at, iconic.
I'm still trying to reconcile that Luis Suarez is like Willy Wonka. I'm still trying to get my head around that.
Well, he liked biting shoulders full of chocolate. I can tell you that much. That's what he really liked.
Absolutely mental. Right. So, is Mo Salah better than Robbie Fowler?
It breaks my heart to say it, but I have to say, yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
Well, tell you what, I remember Robbie Fowler even before he played for Liverpool. And even the youth squad, they were talking about him at the time. I think he was 18. It's a different player. I mean, Fowler was a striker. He wasn't a winger. They're different players. It's hard to say. Fowler done it for longer. He was and is God, as they say. So, I mean, it might be blasphemy to be calling him God, but you know what I'm saying? I think it is blasphemy even to say is Mo Salah better than Fowler. I think it's a hard question to answer. It really is. Different eras, different pitches. Even the pitches were terrible when Fowler was playing. Never mind Kenny Dalglish. But, it's a hard question to ask. It's like saying, did you like Shawshank Redemption or did you like Ghostbusters or something? You know what I'm saying? So it's hard to say. They're both great films, but you know what I mean? I find it hard comparing, especially in different genres. Very hard.
Okay. So the final one will be in 6 years' time when Mo Salah isn't playing football anymore. And we're talking about forward players that had an impact on the football club. Is Mo Salah in the same conversation as Kenny Dalglish if he carries on like he is?
Well, if we win another league or two in the Champions League, I think he is.
Wow.
I think if we can add on another league or two, maybe. Let's say he signs to 2026. So he gives us another 5 years. He's 2 years left. Say he adds on another 2 or 3 years to that. I mean, he's peak. He's 29. He's peak. He's peak. Okay, you could say, how long does peak last? You know what I mean? 17, 18. Everybody would have said 17, 18 was his peak when he got 44 goals. And he's been doing it every year, 22, 19, 22, league goals every year. Even the year we won the league, it was his least amount of goals. He got 19 league goals the year we won the league, but that was whitewashed because we won the league. So for me, he'll always get you goals because he keeps himself super fit. He's a model pro. He, as you said, he hasn't got 1 6-pack. He's got 2 6-packs, this guy. So for me, I mean, if you get another league or Champions League on top of it, is he better than Kenny Dalglish? Well, I don't think he. But are you talking in the same vein, in the same conversation? Even to be talking the same conversation is unbelievable. Never mind being as good.
So a question that was asked on the terrace, or rather it was put to people by Terry on the terrace. Is Salah Liverpool's greatest Premier League player? Would you put Salah, his legacy and what he's doing in the Premier League above what Steven Gerrard did?
Well, go ahead, Rick.
So Terry and I had a chat about this yesterday, and he said that he thinks he's the best Premier League player for Liverpool. For me, it's still Stevie, but I think the most important thing is to never say that so and so can't ever get there. Like, Steven, in my opinion, Stevie's up there and is the better player for Liverpool at this stage. But if Salah continues to do it, then you should never say, "Oh, look, Steven Gerrard will never be surpassed," because you can always improve. Things can always get better. Your performances can always get better. The team achievements can always get better. Individual achievements can always be improved upon. So for me, and look, football is an emotional game. It's called a beautiful game for a reason. It's not called the spreadsheet game or some other kind of very rigid description. It's called the beautiful game because the fact that Stevie stayed with us through thick and thin. There's a couple of bumps along the road, but he stayed with us through thick and thin. Stayed with us for pretty much his entire career. And even when we were dog shit, I don't want to say dog shit because I don't think we were ever that bad, but we weren't. There were teams that were really, really weak, and he showed that loyalty and devotion to the club. That means something. So that's why I'd like to differentiate. For me, it's still Stevie, but Mo can get there.
Yeah.
I'd probably say.
I agree.
Go on, Dave.
I agree. No, I agree exactly what Rack said. I mean, Steven Gerrard had a huge influence on Liverpool for years. And I said his head was turned by Chelsea. We all know the story there. He was almost going. He wasn't going. We had some poor teams. We really did have some poor teams. He dragged us to an FA Cup final win against West Ham. He dragged us to the 2005 Champions League final. Let's be real. Without Steven Gerrard on that pitch, we're not winning number 5. That's just not going to happen. We were close once or twice for the league. What I would the other question is, what would prime Steven Gerrard be like with a prime Mo Salah today?
This is true. And I said to a Chelsea fan very recently, if you'd managed to prize Steven Gerrard out the door and he'd gone to Chelsea, this conversation, Gerrard scores or Lampard, doesn't happen. Gerrard would be everybody's GOAT, because the players around him would have appeared to have elevated him to a level above and beyond what we saw, because he'd have league titles and trophies, and that's what some people are hung up on. So you know, I think it's a difficult one. I'd like to say Mo Salah's our most influential forward, Steven Gerrard's our most influential midfielder, and then you can look at Virgil van Dijk and say he's our most influential defender, and so on and so forth. And I even think that the Ballon d'Or should be categorised like that, because, you know, it's the goal scorers, isn't it? It's the Messis and the Ronaldos of this world that captures everybody's attention, much in the same way Mo Salah is doing it for us. And yet, you look at the other end of the pitch, Virgil van Dijk can claim to have as big an impact on Liverpool Football Club as anybody ever has in our history. Because the moment he walked through the door, he just brought a calmness and a serenity to the team that when he's out there on the pitch saying, you know, I've got this, just chill, do what I do. You know what I mean? It's just amazing, isn't it? So, little bit conversation about the opposition. I want to get your thoughts on Manchester United's situation. Dave and I have already said this. We've watched Liverpool for a long time. When Liverpool,
sorry, I shouldn't laugh, but I can't.
Well, you have to. They did it to us, mate. Don't you worry about it, right? We had to put up with it, didn't we, for all those years? And they kept saying, "Is it your year this year?" That was the one they always used to say to us, wasn't it? Things are really bad there, aren't they? I don't ever remember a Man United side being that bad.
They're a team of individuals. Let's be real. Paul Pogba, Ronaldo. Ronaldo's being bought for the jerseys. Paul Pogba's being bought for the hairdo. I mean, they're both disruptive forces. Penandes, when Ronaldo came, he's not the same player. He's been overshadowed. And then you look at also young Sancho. He must be saying, what the hell did I come into this for? Yeah. At that age, he needs to be playing. He needs to be playing football. He needs to be playing football. They're an absolute joke.
Probably best to call Jadon Sancho Jadon Bencho, with the amount of times he's been on the bench. And also, you know, they brought Maguire and Lindelof to be, you know, one's a fridge and one's a freezer. Look, the problem is with Manchester United, and I've said it, they have a very, very good team, a very, very good team of individuals, as Dave said, but the manager is not good enough. He's completely out of his depth. This manager has managed Molde and Cardiff. He's been relegated with Cardiff.
He's brilliant. He's a brilliant manager. Stop. Stop it. Sign him. 10-year contract. I want him to stay there. Don't say it bad about Ole. I want him to stay there.
Na. Ole at the wheel.
At the wheel.
That was brilliant by the fans yesterday. But I think they're going to probably... I don't think Ole's going to be there much longer, but I don't think it's... Well, I suppose, who knows? I mean, there's been loads of murmurs about Conte coming in, but I don't see Conte lasting 2 minutes with the Glazers. I really don't.
Well, they're happy to load the club with debt for facilitating big signings. So maybe in that regard, short term, he fits the bill, because you can see someone like Lautaro Martinez and Brozovic, the central defensive holding midfielder, quite easily turning up at Old Trafford under sort of Conte, because he'll go with what he knows. In the short term, there's no manager in the world, and that includes Klopp or Guardiola, that can get a tune out of McFred. It can't happen. They don't have...
Hashtag Steve Bruce. Hashtag Steve Bruce. Let's get that going, baby. Come on.
Yeah. I've seen the thing. Liz on the phone, so I can be there in 20 minutes. But no manager's going to get a double pivot out of that squad. So they've got 2 transfer windows as well. to deal with all of their issues because they got 5 midfielders who'll be on their way out the door. So it's not a short-term fix, but I've never seen them that bad. I'm actually quite shocked how poor they were. And all this keep ball we were doing in sort of the last 15, 20 minutes, that's more, for me, that's more embarrassing than conceding goals because we were playing like 2 players 6 yards apart, 6 passes each, 12 passes, then move the ball to someone else and do it there. It's like everything just capitulated, and we're just going to stand here and let you do that. And do you know what? If I'm a Liverpool fan and my club does that, I'm fuming because that's the one thing we can't accept, isn't it?
I don't know whether you've seen the Paul Scholes interview after the Atalanta game where he said if Man United play like they did in the first half against Atalanta, they could be 3 or 4-0 down at half time on Sunday. And that is something else coming from Paul Scholes, the nail-biting professional. Scholes, Scholes is, they sell feet, they sell stuff you put into here. So Paul Scholes, he's going to be doing ads on him next. But I mean, he was right and he was on the button. I mean, United's been lucky in games, guys. They could even be in a worse place. I mean, they were lucky against Atalanta. They should have got pissed on. Villarreal should have beat them. West Ham missed a penalty in injury time. They've had games where they could be mid-table, almost out of the Champions League, bottom of that bloody table. They're actually lucky even where they are. They've been that bad. They've been lucky as well. Unbelievable.
Yeah. So we're nearly an hour in. Dave's got to go. So I think that's a really good point to wrap it up, guys. I did say to Dave I wouldn't keep him beyond 11, and I don't want to. Then he'll come back that way, you see. So we've had an hour talking about the Reds. Magnificent 5-0 win away at Old Trafford. We may never see that again in our lifetime. So suck it up, boys. Enjoy it. Thanks for coming on, Dave. Thanks for coming on, Doug.
Mo Salah, running down the way. Salah, the Egyptian king.
Na. Only at the wheel. At the wheel, always at the wheel.
There you go. We got sung out. We got singing on the way out of the door. So thanks for coming, guys, and thanks for everyone in the chat. As ever, it's been electric. There's still 5 people watching this, but unfortunately, these things don't last forever. So until next week, people, we'll see you soon. Take care and up the Reds.